Hey, what's up, folks? This is just going to be another video and a reality check. And for a lot of people who don't understand what's going on and don't see the dangers of where everything that's happening right now is going to lead. Now, this might look funny, right? But I want to show you something in the background. See these? These are microchips. These are microscopic nanochips. And people say things, and I'm not jumping into conspiracy theory because everything I'm going to show you is fact. That's the difference between theory and fact. And you have to realize, too, put into perspective money, where money goes, why people want technology, and why people are obsessed with information. So I'm just going to show you some real life hard to handle facts for some people. And behind me is a nanometer chip, and these are so microscopic that they could be delivered through a regular needle. And I'm not saying that any of the current vaccinations or COVID have anything to do with these chips, but the Pentagon is coming out with chips that do detect COVID-19, but also other illnesses and also your biometrics. So let's bring back the screen that I just had. And this might look silly because I want to show you something too that's really funny. Let me start off with this. This will be a good one. What does nanochip mean? Well, a nanochip is an electronic integrated circuit so small that it can only be measured properly in the nanometer scale. And don't worry, I'm about to show you how big and how small a nanometer is. Although current technology is able to create chip components in the nanometer scale, it is still not possible to make the complete chip in a nanometer scale. For this to become reality, each component of the chip has to be created at an atomic scale. That's what they should say. Or I guess that kind of works. Meaning each atom of the material has to be manipulated to form the smaller components of nanochips. Now, it depends how small you really expect to make these and for what exactly, and what are the causes and the reasons for it. And this is really short, so I might as well read this too. So I'm going to go here. Nanotechipedia explains nanochip. The nanochip scale has long been the goal of modern technology. With nanochips, it would be possible to have computers the size of micro SD cards, but thousands of times smaller. Not only, but thousands of times smaller. And more powerful, because so many components could fit in a very small space. The manufacturing costs would be also very minimal, and the energy required to run them would be minuscule. However, currently the term nanochip is used to refer to current microchips that are manufactured using the nanometer process. Other small devices, such as nanoism card, and the term is even the name of microchip manufacturing company, Nanochip Incorporated. And they do stuff for like animals. They chip your dogs and cats and pets and stuff like that. And it's something that they're trying to do too, is they're trying to convince and fool people to put them in their children. And they're going to try to come up with fear tactics in order to make you think that it's a reasonable thing to do, you know. And that's probably one of the reasons why they're letting so many, you know, criminals out, and to make people scared about kidnapping and all that stuff. So let's go into how big is a nanometer, or how small, we should say. So I already prepped this video for us.
The naked eye can see the diameter of a human hair. That's 1/10 of a millimeter, or 100,000 nanometers. To understand the small, we're going to scale it up to skyscraper proportions. And return to our human hair, and blow it up to the size of the Empire State Building.
So the hair now is represented as the size of the Empire State Building.
A typical human cell, say a red blood cell, would rise to the 10th floor. A bacteria cell, the 3rd floor. Working down our scale, a run-of-the-mill protein molecule would be the same height as a small dog, about 1.5 feet. And a nanometer, on our Empire State scale, it's less than 1/4 of an inch. That's about the size of 5 microscopic atoms placed end to end.
Think about that. Think about that. That's insane. So, just to put that into perspective there, you know, I wanted to show you that. And then we go here to, this is something really funny. Pentagon scientists, just because it's MSN and you can see how unreliable and false they are and fake. So Pentagon scientists developed microchip that detects COVID before symptoms. And then we're going to look at the dates. So this is a day apart. This is amazing. This is amazing. So this was written on 4/13/21, and they're telling you how the Pentagon researchers developed a microchip that can be inserted under the skin to detect COVID-19 infections before a person begins showing symptoms. That was Michael Lee on 4/13. Ed Brown, the following day, writes this. As COVID-19 pandemic continues to rock the globe, scientists are having to contend with conspiracy theories and misinformation related to outbreak. And then it goes into what some conspiracy theorists allege that governments, or maybe Bill Gates, are using vaccines as a way to inject people with microchips. It's like, no, and of course they're going to use it as some, because there's probably some people out there that say that. I don't think that they put microchips into any of the vaccines yet, anyway. Would they and could they? Maybe. It depends. It depends. But we all know, let's read this one. It's a sensor, said Dr. Matt Hepburn, an infectious disease physician and retired Army colonel. That tiny green thing in there you put underneath your skin, and what that tells you is there's chemical reactions going on inside the body. And that signal means that you are going to have symptoms tomorrow. So basically, let me recap this because we're going to watch a video, a really short video about this. Basically what they're saying is that the Pentagon has developed a chip with scientists that is incredibly small and can be injected underneath your skin. And what it does is it detects your biochemical reactions and changes in your body to detect if you're going to get sick. And they're saying that you can find out the day before if you get sick from COVID. And this specifically, they're just saying COVID, but obviously it can be used for any other disease or virus or infection or cold or sickness or whatever it is. So that's obviously what they're pushing here, right? So that's all you need to know. Do they really need to come out with a report the next day, or an article, I should say, the next day, specifically the next day, trying to push the idea that the only reason these are around is it's just conspiracy theories coming up with ideas, and it has nothing to do with specifically being put into the vaccine, but the potential to be put anywhere for any reason, and how they can slowly fool people and trick people into thinking that that's something to do, especially the military personnel. Now you have to realize what's going on here. The way the media likes to spin things, like you can tell that they probably have government agents and psychologists work on them with them, or they at least pay them and tell them what to print and publish. And probably like newspapers, they probably allow you to have your own article and story as long as you pay them. You know, you give them a certain amount of money and you give them an article and they will print it. It's that easy, and why wouldn't they do it, especially if the government tells them to? We know that it's a thing now. We know that these chips exist. Government has been coming up ways to create them, and it's going to be pushed further. The next step, this is the steps right now. First, it's the card. Then they're going to tell you that the card can be stolen, or it can be counterfeit, and then they're going to say the only proper way, and they're running out of spots on the COVID card too, and they're going to say the only proper way to do this now is to download the app, and you need the app from now on, because not only does it make your life easier, and you can scan it, and you'll never lose it, but we keep track of it digitally, and we know that people can't counterfeit it. So the following step is to put it, have your cell phone and have an app in your phone. And then what comes after that is to scare people enough and pressure them in order to submit and go and get the microchip and get their bodies chipped. It's so crazy too, because so many people that would talk about how wrong that is and against that, you know, just a couple years ago, if that was a thing, they'd be like, no, in the future if they do that, that's wrong, you know, that's whatever. Or, you know, and now they're a lot of people would be for it because they know how to trick people's minds. So let's go just to see.
The virus is present.
Let's check this out.
And this is sort of cool. Scientists at the Pentagon are developing a microchip that can detect viruses in the blood, including COVID-19. The chip would be inserted just under the skin and alert the user if the coronavirus is present.
Take note the fact that they said under the skin. That's very important, because having small little microscopic chips, or even just extremely small chips, because we're going to see that the one they have right now is not microscopic, but eventually they're going to have microscopic ones. The chips that are going to be used, at least for now, the prototypes, are embedded under the skin because the fluid, they're so small that the antenna and reactors and stuff, that the fluid in your body would actually cut the signal. So that's important to know, because that's one of the reasons why I'm pretty confident that they don't have microchips in the vaccines right now. Because if they inject it into you, that fluid would block the transmission. So let's go here. Pentagon researchers develop microchip that can be inserted under the skin to detect COVID infections before a person shows symptoms. Right? It's like, I mean, I don't know how many articles I have to show you. I mean, it's legit. You know? Here we go, even into Yahoo News. Pentagon scientists claim to have invented a sensor that, once inserted under the skin, will detect if the patient develops COVID-19. Now, notice this too. They're using COVID-19 as the push for this. This is all they needed. It's exactly what they needed in order to push something like this. They need a disease or a virus that scares people enough to start considering it. And then they need it that's scary enough in order for them to push it on their own military personnel. This is something that they eventually want to do. They want to make sure every human being is microchipped. They want to track you. They want to find out where you are, when you're going somewhere, what your body signs are, and eventually what you're thinking. That's the ultimate goal, is to read your mind and then control it. That's obviously down the line. I mean, they have VR machines right now that can basically sense your thoughts, and they go on certain waves. And I should probably show you that at the end of this video. Maybe I'll do that. So I'm going to look that up at the end of this video. So then we go here too. This is something I want to talk about too, is smart dust. Smart dust is something that is so microscopic that you can just go onto somebody or into a crowd, and all of a sudden you can gather information on large amounts of people without their even knowing. You can go into their lungs. It can go into their body. It can go in the bottom of their shoes, onto their feet. It can track whoever's been to protests. It can go inside their home and then start reading the sounds and vibrations, because you wouldn't even need a speaker at that point. If it's so small, you can just pick up vibrations, and that vibration can be turned into sound. It's like, you got to think, you know, like someone who creates technology, and you have to think about the potentials. I understand technology really well. I've been around technology my entire life. I'm an engineer and a technician. I've had to fix and replace and build circuit boards and do all sorts of stuff. I know the average person, this is probably something that they just want to not even think about, or might be kind of hard to comprehend in some cases. But look, this is going back to 2013, and they're talking about smart dust. And yes, it can spy on your brain. It can do all these things. I'm going to put all the links below like I do in the videos. You guys can check it out yourself and read them yourself, and then do your own research here. Now we're going to watch this video, and this is 60 minutes. 60 minutes. So this is legit as corporate and mainstream media goes.
Dr. Hepburn showed us a few current projects. Some sound like they're from an episode of Star Trek. Consider a ship like the USS Theodore Roosevelt, hobbled last year when 1,271 crew members tested positive for the coronavirus. What if everyone on board had their health monitored with this subdermal implant, now in late-stage testing? It's not some dreaded government microchip to track your every move.
Yet, you notice how they always have to throw that in? They always have to say that. It's not some crazy thing that scares you because we don't want you to think that. It's like, put your own mind together. Obviously, it can be used for all that stuff. And whatever can be used, will be used. That's what we know with technology. With everything people do, from AI to chips to everything that people do. Anything that can be done will be done. And anything that can be thought of in your mind can be created eventually. Today's scientists were yesterday's alchemists. Remember that.
But a tissue-like gel engineered to continuously test your blood.
It's a sensor.
This tiny green thing in there?
That tiny green thing in there, you put it underneath your skin, and what that tells you is that there are chemical reactions going on inside the body, and that signal means you're going to have symptoms tomorrow.
Wow. There's an actual transmitter in that.
Yeah, it's like a check engine light.
Check this sailor out before he infects other people.
That's right.
Sailors would get the signal, then self-administer a blood draw and test themselves on site.
Look at that.
We can have that information in 3 to 5 minutes. As you truncate that time,
With 5G, it's going to be a split second. They're going to be able to get that information. And they can go all over the whole network.
as you diagnose and treat, what you do is you stop the infection in its tracks.
Interesting, right? Now let's go to VR reading minds. Just to see what happens here. Mind control, and it's here. So they're using mind control for VR.
Now, if you follow the channel, you'll know that I love crazy VR accessories. I've tried loads of weird and wonderful things over the years, including haptic vests, omnidirectional treadmills, exoskeleton gloves, recoil gun stocks, and I almost gave myself third-degree burns from a device that could provide hot and cold feedback in VR called Tegway. But what I'm going to show you today literally takes the biscuit. It's by far the weirdest VR accessory I've ever tried, so let's get right into it. With individual finger tracking, capacitive touch sensors, and the Quest has allowed us to use our hands alone to navigate the system's user interface. Or method is mind control. It sounds crazy, right? But this is a real product called NextMind, which is a brain-computer interface. It's currently available as a development kit, and the team at NextMind kindly sent me one over.
This is a brain-to-computer interface. You wear this on your head, and it can read your mind. Now think about the amount of money that can be made off this, and thoughts. When they start getting good enough to read your thoughts about what stuff you like and what you're thinking of, they can send you advertisements, they can sell your information.
For me to try out.
Honestly, it's endless. If you have an imagination and the mind of an engineer or a technician, the limits are endless.
It's a small and lightweight device at just 60 grams and can easily be clipped onto the back of a baseball cap or a head strap of a VR headset. It contains an internal rechargeable battery which lasts up to 8 hours and is charged via USB-C. The device features 9 codes. So now I'm just going to go through the setup and calibration process. So I've got the device turned on and Bluetooth is enabled on my machine. You can see that the NextMind device is already connected, and we've got a battery status here and also how well it's connected to the back of my head. And as you can see here, the green on these contacts means that it's got perfect contact to the back of my head. Now this could be that I've
This is reality, people.
got start the calibration, hold still and stay focused. I've got it. So I'm focusing on the lines there. That seemed to work. Okay, so let's stay focused on this. Yeah. Okay, so I got a perfect score. That's pretty cool. So it seems like my mind is completely primed for doing this sort of thing. So this is the fun part. You've got these 3 circles in front of me, and I can just choose which one I want to pick just by focusing on it. So let's pick the far right one. And now the far left. And now the far right again. And now the middle. It's completely insane that it actually works. I don't really understand it, but let's carry on, try some more demos, and see what we can do with the power of my mind. Okay, so this is controlling it. Get some ambience. Get some synths in there, starting with the low. Some high in there.
He's creating music with his mind right now.
This is so nuts! Wow. Okay, so this is a basic little platforming game, and what we can do is we can focus on those rocks to destroy them, and move them out of the way of our little character, and also blow up enemies with my mind. Not using my hands or anything else, I'm literally just using the power of my mind, and I'm using it to blow up these aliens, so it's time for E.T. to go home. I feel like Professor X. I feel like I have to do like a... Focus. Oh, dodge it. Blow up his mind. There we go. And we can teleport by focusing on the teleportation marker over there. There we go. I feel like I need to be in that wheelchair like Professor X, rolling around, blowing up these aliens with my mind. Right, let's dodge the incoming fire. Focus.
How crazy is that? How crazy is that? I want you to take all this information I just gave you and think about it for a bit. I want you to meditate on all the stuff I just showed you. I think it all speaks for itself. I think that people need to pay attention to what's going on, where they really want things to happen, and of course they're going to use anything they can to get your attention and to make it you think that it's cool before they slowly turn the tides. I mean, think about everything that's already been used in the public domain. I already went over some of the stuff in some other videos. I'm just trying to bring you the facts and bring you information and let you know what's happening in this world and the reality of the situation. And they're going to try to microchip people in the near future after they convince enough people to get the apps for COVID and all these other things. And eventually they're going to be able to read your mind using all sorts of stuff, from these VR to microchip dust to 5G. And I'm not talking about the harmful effects of 5G or any of that. I'm talking about the ability that it's going to have. A lot of people don't understand the bandwidth, and they don't understand the amount of information and how 5G can be used. It can be used like radar systems. It can be used in so many different ways. It's going to make so many people susceptible to hacking and all sorts of problems. And it probably will and can be used to affect people's minds as well. So that's just another video. These are just facts. This is reality. If you want to see more stuff like this and more in-depth content, like and subscribe, share my videos, get this stuff out. People need to see what's going on and start realizing the situation of what the 21st century is really bringing in here. We need to show people what's really going on, and a lot of people don't want to. They want to focus on one thing or the other. It's like there are so many things going on right now that we need to start understanding the entire web of information that's being constructed before us, because it's important. So I love all you guys. Check you out in the next video, and like, subscribe, spread this around, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care now.